Welcome back to another All AZ Bets video here on the All AZ Sports YouTube page. Chris Schubert, Eric Cohen back with you. A little college football here this week on the channel. Eric, you have asked me to pull up the odds to win the college football championship for 2022. I also have the Heisman Trophy odds that we can discuss as well. And you posed the question when we were coming up with how we were going to do this. You asked me, do I want Alabama, who on my book here, I'm looking on Bet Online, plus 260, or if I wanted the field? And I got to be honest with you. I don't think I like either side of this.
You got to pick one. I mean, what do you mean you don't like either side?
I know. I just don't like either side of this because we still have a 14 playoff that should change shortly. That should change. We have a 14 playoff. Alabama's going to be in the playoff.
Yep.
I think the tough part is figuring out which three teams are going to join them.
Well, you can guarantee one of them outside of Alabama that's going to be in there.
Clemson?
Nope. But I mean, that's a good bet. I mean, you could probably put them in there too. Oklahoma.
You're going to say Oklahoma?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's going to find a way to be in there, and then they're going to lose to whoever they play in the first game.
They do have the Heisman favorite right now. So
right. And who you can gladly take and throw money away because Spencer Rattler from Pinnacle High School out here in Scottsdale is not going to win the Heisman Trophy. So that's fine. You can have that. Not that he's not a good player. He's not winning the Heisman Trophy. But Oklahoma, first of all, if you want to take Oklahoma to win it all at what are they getting right now? 6-1. That's just throwing money down the toilet.
Yeah.
It's just throwing down the toilet.
And so that's the struggle that I have, right, in looking at this. And I know we're supposed to have this like expert insight. We're supposed to give everybody plays. But I think why I wanted to do this video so badly is because this is probably the toughest video we've put together. Because Alabama's plus 260, Eric. And then I look at the teams. Just look at the teams directly behind them. The next maybe 7 or 8 names. There's nobody that I love. Clemson at plus 550. I don't love that. Right? Georgia, Oklahoma at plus 650. I don't love either of those two teams. We know what Georgia's track record is in big games late in the season. Kirby Smart has yet to get over that hump. Ohio State at plus 650. New quarterback. They have a lot of talent. They're going to have a lot of guys get drafted probably in the first round of next year's draft. But the Big Ten schedule, that's going to be a grind for them. LSU at plus 2,500, Texas at plus 2,500, Texas A&M at plus 2,500. I don't like any of those teams.
Your odds, Chris, on my book, LSU is plus 3,500. Texas is plus 50. Is 50-1, excuse me, plus 5,000.
Nah, I can get LSU and Texas both at plus 25.
Well, you don't want to do that. Then you should go to my book if you want them at 35-1 and 50-1.
It's true. I get better value at your guys.
So my book, Bovada, has Alabama at plus 250, Clemson plus 400, Georgia plus 500, Ohio State and Oklahoma at plus 600. And the next closest one is Iowa State at plus 2,500.
I have Iowa State at plus 3,300, but I still think it's important to note that big jump. There is a clear upper tier of Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Those 5 teams, and then there's a drop off between that next tier of teams that people think are college football favorites.
How can you bet Oklahoma to win it all?
I don't think you can, which is why I think in this bet, if you're asking me, I'm going to take Alabama just because I think it's easy. But the field, see, the thing is with these bets, like the field is, I just get everybody. And that's just better odds. Like you're giving me Alabama or the field. I want to take the field just because I want all of the options.
So there's 3 other teams. Obviously, let's talk about the 3 other teams outside of Alabama, who I think obviously is the smart pick if you're going to do it. I just don't think I agree with you that plus 250 or 260 in your case is just too short of odds to legitimately bet. I think Clemson with DJ Ugalele, I believe his name is. I probably butchered that.
It was closer than I thought you were going to get when you started to say it. So I'll give you credit there.
With DJ, I mean, he's got a legitimate shot to win the Heisman Trophy, and their schedule is fairly easy. So they will probably be in the playoff. And then the last playoff spot, considering Oklahoma is likely a lock to get in, comes down to one of 3 teams, either Georgia, Ohio State, or Texas A&M, as far as I'm concerned. A&M has a pretty favorable schedule.
I'm not in on this A&M bandwagon. I've seen it everywhere. I'm not
either. I'm not either. I don't trust Jimbo. I know he won a title at Florida State, but I still don't trust him. All right. So I'm down to either Georgia or Ohio State. Now, Georgia opens the season against Clemson. The winner of that game is in the driver's seat, and Georgia's schedule outside of playing Florida is pretty easy until they get to the SEC championship,
which has been a problem for them. Let's be real.
If CJ Stroud is the real deal at Ohio State, then they are the only team that I think you can really bet outside of Alabama, right? I don't trust Kirby Smart in Georgia. That's why you and I talked about this off the air. Trusting Kirby Smart is never a good idea.
No,
he's a choker.
And yes, I think I definitely agree with your logic that Ohio State would be the team of the group that we just talked about. But I think this is unfair to say it's a big question mark at quarterback, but it is a new quarterback. right? The Justin Fields era there is over. And when you have that quarterback transition, there is a little bit of an unknown. Same thing with Clemson, right? We all think DJ is in the limited time that we saw him last year because Trevor Lawrence missed the game because of COVID. We saw a lot from DJ. We think he's going to be really good. I'll pull up the Heisman odds here in a second. But when you transition quarterbacks, there are question marks about that. And so that's why, it's tough for me, but I think I'm going to take the field just because I get all of the range of outcomes there if those guys end up being as good as we think they are. And I think ultimately I look at the path that Oklahoma's going to have. I look at the path that Clemson might have. I look at the path that Ohio State might have. I like their chances, and I'll just take the field. I don't love it. I don't have warm and fuzzies about it, but I'll take the field in the hypothetical question that you asked me of Alabama versus the field.
I would take Alabama. And if I weren't to take Alabama and I were to agree with you and take the field, I would only bet Ohio State. Georgia is interesting. If Georgia beats Clemson week 1, great. JT Daniels has never quite lived up to the hype. I know he played better in his last 4 games last year, went 4-0 down the stretch. I still don't trust him and Kirby Smart. I think Ohio State, there's just so much talent on that team. They continue to recruit at an Alabama-like level. That's the one team. I think it's Alabama, Ohio State again, the championship game. I tell somebody I can't buy into Oklahoma and I can't buy into Clemson. I just don't know enough about the pieces around DJ there in Clemson.
Can we close by talking about the Heisman? Because there's a lot of, and you have your Wildcat country background behind you. Yeah. There's a lot of Arizona connections here on this list. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've looked at this list completely.
I have.
Spencer Rattler, the favorite. He's plus 500 on Bet Online where I'm looking. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna talk about the guys that are on here with Arizona connections, and then we could talk about some of the other ones like Sam Howell. We could talk about DJ. We could talk about JT Daniels. We could talk about all those guys. Keaton Slovis at plus 1,600.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson, the running back for Texas, plus 2,000.
Yep.
Brock Purdy at plus 2,800. Jaden Daniels at plus 2,800.
I mean, it's amazing that the state of Arizona, from a high school perspective, outside of Jaden Daniels, has produced just incredible talent, and neither ASU nor U of A is keeping them, which is a shame, and that's it for a different show. I'm not going there. I think right now you got to look at it. The Heisman Trophy winner is going to be somebody that gets to the Final Four. So if I'm going to take a shot, and I think the odds are a little low, so I'd want him a little bit more than this. But CJ Stroud,
you're just going to double down on the CJ Stroud stuff.
He's never taken a snap at Ohio.
Which would be
he's
the
never
big
thrown
question
a pass.
mark.
Excuse me, never thrown a pass. If at 10-1, that's not great value. If I can get him at 20-1,
I can get him at 14-1.
If I get him at 20-1, then we're talking. Once again, the Heisman Trophy has been so unpredictable. Nobody was betting Devontae Smith last year. Nobody was betting Joe Burrow the year before that.
Sure.
So Rattler's not winning the Heisman Trophy. I'm going to tell you, I will go out on the limb. He and DJ Uigalele, I messed that up that time.
You tried it again. How bold of you.
I'm telling you. Bryce Young at 8-1 is interesting. The quarterback for Alabama, he's dynamic, a 5-star guy, got some experience last year, and in that system, they're going to be dominant. I would say him or Stroud right now. How talent-wise, sure. I just don't think they're going to make the Final Four, and I think a quarterback that doesn't make the Final Four is not going to win the Heisman Trophy. Slovis, I'm not buying into it either. No.
Can I give you an outside the box name to close this out here that I really like?
Yeah.
Iowa State running back Breece Hall at plus 2,500, 25-1 to win the Heisman. If that team with that quarterback and running back combination, with that coach, Matt Campbell, who has gotten phone calls from the National Football League. That's how high of a praise he's gotten. People in the league want him to be their head coach. If he is able to put all that together with the quarterback and Brock Purdy, with the running back and Breece Hall, and they go on a run in the Big 12, Eric, you talked about Oklahoma being a representative in the college football playoff. If it ends up being Iowa State who runs the table and runs through the Big 12 and has a big year, I think it's going to have a lot to do with Breece Hall and what he is able to accomplish in that offense. And I think he could put up numbers. Again, this is if Iowa State has the season that everybody thinks they could have. If they reach their potential, I think they're in the conversation for the college football playoff. And I think it has a lot to do with Breece Hall. So if you're looking for an outside Cinderella, maybe sleeper, that's the one that I would go with.
But then why aren't you going with Purdy, who's the quarterback on that team, who's going to put up insane numbers as well.
Because I think their running game is what's going to get them to reach that potential. I think Purdy's
going to,
because Purdy runs the ball as well, right? Purdy's not going to, I think, have those gaudy passing numbers because he likes to get involved in the running game, and Matt Campbell's going to want to run the football in the Big 12. That's what they're going to do. They're going to spread it out, and they're going to hand the ball to Breece Hall. So I think he can put up numbers. You're not wrong. Brock Purdy at plus 2,800 if you want to go all in on the Iowa State bandwagon and put a little bit of a cheddar on both of those guys. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But for me, it would be Breece Hall just because I think that offense is going to run through him. All
right. So a couple of other names I just want to throw out here real fast. At 50 to 1, I know he's coming, and you can get him even higher at some places. Michael Penix Jr. from Indiana coming off an ACL. That team, their schedule isn't that bad. Let's say they were to beat Ohio State. That they have a lot of returning starters. That could be interesting. I hate to say this, Chris. This is my last one here. Jaden Daniels.
No, don't do this. Don't start this.
And I'm not picking it because I hope ASU goes in the tubes, as you can see my background.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
But if ASU were to go 11-1 and win the Pac-12 South, I mean, at some point, Jaden Daniels is going to be clearly the leader of that team. Get some consideration, right?
I don't know, because the same thing I said about Iowa State, I think applies to Arizona State. We saw it in the short sample last year. They got some dynamic backs in that backfield that they're going to hand the ball off to. And I don't know if in the way that Herm Edwards is going to construct that offense, and I need to put the caveat because we don't necessarily know what the coaching staff of this Arizona State team is going to look like this season, okay? And I understand that. It's July 9th when we're recording this, okay? Just so I'm assuming that all of this stuff is going to stay in place. What does Herm like to do when they're up in a game late? Like to run the football, control the clock, play good defense, and we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. That's what they do. And Jaden can make plays. The two Michigan State games in particular, he can make plays. He can make throws. And does he have the talent to win the Heisman? Absolutely. But I think the identity of this football team is going to be, we got 2 or 3 guys in the backfield that at any given moment can break one for 50 or 60 and go down the field and score a touchdown. We're going to give it to those guys. And then we're going to ask Jaden to maybe throw it 15 to 25 times a game. And that's all we're going to ask of him.
If I gave you $50 and said, I want you to put Heisman odds on one player from the Pac-12, would you choose Jaden? Would you choose Keaton Slovis, or would you choose Kayvon Thibodeau, the rare defensive player at Oregon?
So I love Thibodeau, and he's more than likely going to be the number 1 pick in next year's draft. That's how talented he is.
Okay.
A defensive player's not winning this thing.
Okay.
If Ndamukong Suh, the year that he had, didn't win it, it's never going to happen, right? I'll believe it when I see it. So you're asking me to put some cash down on one of these guys.
Yep.
Keaton Slovis, Jaden Daniels.
Nobody from Washington's going to be, and I know they should have a good team. Utah, no. So it's going to be one of those.
Robinson from UCLA.
He's over. Don't even get me started on him.
Okay.
He's not terrible, but he's not great. Not consistent. So if I $50, Chris, here you go. And I'm not going to do this obviously because I don't want, I don't like either one of them. But if you were to put one of them, would it be Slovis or Daniels?
It probably would be Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
I'm just out on Keaton Slovis, personally. I just don't I've watched some Keaton Slovis tape, and as you know, in the background behind me dictates this. There's been some Keaton Slovis tape watching that's gone on. Yeah. And I'm just not a fan. And so I'm just not buying in. So I wouldn't be able to do that. Plus I'll take Jaden Daniels at plus 2,800 over Keaton Slovis at plus 1,600 because I think it's both a crapshoot. So I'll take the better odds.
So Chris is putting down $50 on Jaden Daniels, 28-1 to win his 1,400. And there you have it here on All AZ Sports.
Oh gosh, yes, that's going to do it for us here on this week's edition of the show. A little bit of abbreviated schedule. Eric is traveling the next 2 weeks, so I don't know when you're going to get the next 2 editions of All AZ
do some
Bets.
At one point.
We're going to do them. They're going to be sporadic, and I don't necessarily know when they're going to come out. But as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel All AZ Sports, where you can get all the content. The latest edition of Wildcat Country is up there. Brand new show Bump and Run with Bernie and Dalby is up there. You've got all the Today's Slate videos up there. Training Gross, a new show maybe starting on Monday that you're going to be able to see on the YouTube channel. That's all I'll tease there for now, but a lot of stuff coming to the YouTube channel. And again, if you're watching us here on the YouTube channel and you haven't gone over and checked it out, allazsports.com is the website where you can see all of this content. It lives and breathes. There's stories up there. We post all of these videos up there on the site. You can also get all of the podcasts up there as well, and a lot more coming throughout the summer with football season right around the corner. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of All AZ Bets. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.